Welcome back to season 2 of Four Insight Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Obi. Hope all is well with everybody out there. Thank you guys for tuning in. What better way to start off this new season and this new year with one of the most requested, one of the fan favorites of this first season. He's doing big things with his business and he's been able to really build on his progress. And so now it's only right that we chop it up with him. Without further ado, welcoming Max Wolf. Max, what's going on, brother?
How we doing?
Not bad, man. Not bad. How are everything on your end?
Yeah. I want to show everybody the picture that I just showed you. So
Oh,
it's like the whole 5 years ago today, or they give you the memories. So this was the photo, which that's your host right there. Long time ago.
Jesus
And that was
Christ.
me a long time ago. So
Oh my goodness. That is so crazy. That's 5 years ago. Yeah, that was back when,
yeah,
we didn't have responsibilities really like that. We just all we did was work
work
out
and
and
train and hang at the gym.
exactly
And
and chop it up and then train some more. But it's crazy how much time flies and how fast,
transitions happen. Yeah,
yeah, man, it's crazy. But let's get right into it, man. So, 2020, when I first interviewed you and we chopped it up, and when this all started, there was a lot going on. We were in the middle, we were right in the thick of COVID, and just
yeah,
the challenges that whole year kind of brought. A lot of historical figures had passed away. We had a lot of turmoil, and we really weren't sure where we were going as a country and in humanity. So despite all of that, 2021, if you had to kind of summarize it for yourself, what would you say?
learning. It'd be learning number one and growth number two.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
Unpredictability is number three, in every area for everybody. I know for me personally, it got hit. The gyms got shut down. I had just started the supplement company right 3 months, not even 3 months before COVID hit. Um, and those were my two things. I was building a business through the gym, and the gym has always been our outlet, a lot of people's outlet. Um, and it was forced. There was nothing, it wasn't like this was a decision anybody wanted to have happen or have make. But you had to either grow up or adapt really quickly to a lot of different things. So I think a lot of people were forced to learn about themselves in a way they had never been forced to before. So everybody talks about the dark side of COVID and lockdown and arguments and just their viewpoint. And everybody's, I mean, hey, I respect every single viewpoint because mine might be different from someone else, but there's you were forced to grow and adapt and learn
Yeah,
quickly.
no, I can't agree more, man. It's just one of those things like, in this world and in this life, I talked about this so many times where everybody was on the move, everybody was kind of doing things. Nobody really had the time to sit down and reflect and be with their person
Yeah,
or be with themselves and just kind of like take their life in and kind of look and see, okay, is this really where I want to be? Is this what I want to do? Am I happy with myself? I think people kind
right.
of realized that about themselves, whether they were or whether they weren't. And it was on them to really kind of take accountability for their lives as they knew it. And sort of, if you don't like where you are, you got to change. You got to, like you said, adapt, or, you're not going to like the outcomes. And
Yeah,
I think people were forced to face that reality.
yeah,
And, some people were able to be better and to show progress. And then others, may have taken them a little bit longer. But,
yeah,
definitely, I think that's the one thing, as things started to open up this year and people were getting back into regular life. I always thought that, after this whole COVID thing, life and humanity was not going to be the same. And I think it's proven to be so. I think
yeah,
people really, are starting to have to come to grips with their own humanity and their mortality.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
just, aside from that, life update, man, how's everything on your end? How's your family, and your
Good.
mom, your dad, and your sister, how are
Yeah.
they?
Everybody's good. Mom's the hospital's back open, so everything's back to normal for her.
Mm.
Uh, Sister moved back to Dallas. She's doing really well, busting her butt working and going to school. And dad is healthier than ever. We've spent the last 11 months building a relationship that we've never had before.
Really?
Not a day after everything that happened last year. So um, it's been pretty amazing to not only watch, but to see right in front of me and have that. Grateful for it every single day. Not a single day goes by I don't think about all the events that took place last year and the support and the love and how everybody just. I didn't know I had 400 or 500 family members, but now I do. Um, and that's not family with my last name or same blood. That's people that stepped in, like you and all the guys from the gym. And I mean, I couldn't even. I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night, if that, just because there was someone calling, and it was just the amount of support was insane. So definitely learned a lot from that. At the same time that, and it was exactly about a year ago, yesterday, that my dad was tested positive, and then the December 21st will mark 1 year since he was admitted and put into a coma and put on a ventilator. Um, so it's just like I just got that Facebook memory this morning. It was weird getting some of the memories about the events that took place last year. Um, but all of that is growth, learned from it, grateful for it. Less than 0.5% of people live through what he went through, and that enough is alone. Like, if he could fight that fight, there really wasn't much that the normal person couldn't go through, right? Like, what's hard about my day when people are literally fighting for their breath, like it really puts into perspective, like, okay, I can do these phone calls or handle these orders, or I mean, whatever you do, I can go flip these burgers or mop these floors. Like, okay, there's people that didn't wake up this morning. So it opened my eyes to a lot. And at the same time, my dad got sick, the business exploded. Yeah. So it was literally like, as soon as we got my dad home and he was okay, I jumped right back into business, and I mean, we were growing 50% a quarter, every single quarter this year. We've grown 50% more than the first. So it's that's insane. That's insane. I think when we started last year, I was in 8 stores, and I think we're right about 200 right now in the US.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna definitely get into the growth of Eliteform, but just on your father, point, because I never really got a chance to really have this conversation with you, man.
Yeah.
But uh, I remember the day that you announced it on Instagram, and you said your dad tested positive first off, and then it was almost like a spiral. It was like, okay, he happened to get it, and then he was in the hospital, and just I know Mr. Wolf, and I've been able to meet him and have conversations with him. So I was scared even myself. Like, I was like, we don't know. Like, that's crazier than it happening abruptly. It's just like
Right.
the uncertainty of having to live with that. But one thing you talked about is something that I've always kind of believed in, that your family isn't just the people who you share blood with, man. Like, family, I always live by the quote, just because I'm not family with someone, just because I don't share blood with them, doesn't mean that we don't have a connection. Doesn't mean that we're not family. You know what I'm saying? And it was great to see, you post all the people who are reaching out to you. I try to reach out and check in on you, as much as I could. I
Yeah.
understood the situation with you and your family, but I just wanted to make sure you guys were okay, because y'all extended the same thing to me, even like when I first met you all those years ago. Your dad was always checking in on me at the gym. Your mom was always checking in. I always had a great relationship with your sister. So, I just tried to reciprocate as best I
Yeah.
could. And so just, it was just great to see your dad fight and get over it, and him get out the hospital and come home.
It was inspiring, man. I remember the day they took him off the ventilator. They had called me that morning. It was a Monday morning. It was about 6 in the morning. It was pretty early. And they said basically that he hasn't moved, or none of his vitals have moved. He's not making progress. He hasn't for 24 hours. They were going to take the tubes out, and that was going to be his last breath,
Mm-hmm.
that they needed the room, and he wasn't going to make it. So I had quickly had to accept that fate and be okay with it and move on. And I didn't tell anybody, because I figured, like, don't get anybody worried before it happens. And I was actually in the truck on the way to a meeting at the manufacturer for Eliteform,
Mm-hmm.
and the hospital calls back, and I was like, all right, I guess he took it. And they were like, Mr. Wolf, like, talking to me. I was like, yeah. And they were like, your dad's breathing on his own. So we're going to take him out of the coma and try to wake him up. And it was about an hour later. Um, they let us FaceTime him awake in the ICU. So that was crazy. Just, my dad. And if there's anybody that's going to fight hard and just be brutal and like in the face of whatever's in front of him, it's him. So if anybody could do it, of course it was him. So he woke up from the coma and then spent a couple more days in the ICU, spent a couple days in general patient care, and then spent a couple days in a physical rehab facility because he lost 38 pounds in
Mm-hmm.
like 11 days, 9 days, something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like you said, man, he pushed through and he's a fighter, like you said. So
Yeah.
shout out to Mr. Wolf and your whole family, man.
Thank you.
So on to the next thing. Eliteform and the growth, man. When I
Yeah.
first met you, you were really trying to, trying to give it its legs and try to get it walking. And now shoot, it's up and running. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the growth of the business and the brand, man, and what it's been like
So,
having to manage it.
so when we met, in a backstory for anybody that doesn't know, I started it with on my own dime in 2019. We launched December 2019. Then we made it through the first quarter. We were pretty good of last year, 2020, and then COVID hit, and that totally changed everything. And we did okay. The company did okay through quarantine. And then in October of 2020, joined forces with my current business partner, who does all the CEO responsibilities, handles the books, watches the money, which allows me to really go and be the face of the brand and go sell, be in shops, be on the road, be on the phones, everything like that, handle all the social media. So that took a lot of pressure off of me. And that's where that growth came in, because we could really go brand it instead of having to run the business at the same time. And that's when we exploded. We went from 8 shops at the beginning of 2020 to, I don't even want to quote the number because we still have 14 days, 15 days left in the month. But we have a couple hundred shops across the nation now. We distribute to Canada. We're working on distribution to Mexico, Australia, and Europe right now. So it literally went from a brand I was running out of my old bedroom in my parents' house to we ship across the world. We're in warehouses all over the country. The people I used to look up to in the fitness industry are now like a phone call away if we haven't bumped shoulders in an event or something fun like that. So it's just grateful for the growth. A majority of this year, it was 4 hours of sleep a night. It was running around. I mean, I think between May and now, I probably did 30, 40,000 miles of traveling. Yeah. I mean, just absolutely insane. It went from a couple hours of work a day till I had to shut the computer off after the 20th hour just because it was something. So there was a lot of learning, a lot of growth. We hired people. That was weird for me. I was like hiring people 15 years older than me. I was like, that's okay. All right, it's something here. And it's funny. Shout out to Trey. He told me when I started Eliteform, he was like, do you want it to be a brand or do you want it to be like a worldwide like name? And I chose the second option, obviously.
But
And
of course,
all he said was be ready for it, because he didn't know what to tell me, but he knew that there was something big coming. So he told me that in the beginning of 2020. And it was funny because I saw him a couple months ago and he was like, remember when I told you? I was like, yeah. He goes, was I wrong? I was like, no. So
shout out to the big homie, man. Shout out to Trey.
Yeah. You got to have, yeah. Or we should all sit down and chop it up on here sometime.
For sure. Yeah. And Trey's instrumental in both of our developments, man.
Yeah,
He was in the pick. He was in the pick, So
yeah.
you think about that all these years later, he's still a part of our lives and still mentoring us, man. But let's talk about the growth and let's stay on that because you talk about you start off as this small company, this local business that ran out of your bedroom, and then you see this growth that happens. For most people, it doesn't really come that quickly, but for you, it did. You made significant progress and really at a tough time, right? And now you're worldwide, you're traveling, you're not really getting a lot of sleep, you're always on the go, you're always thinking and running the business. So talk about what that was like and just whether it was a mental toll or just what you had to learn or what you had to adapt to.
One of the best things I learned this year was confidence. Credentials don't matter. I can guarantee you my biggest deals that we've done, nobody asked to see my grades from high school or college, right? Nobody asked like, oh, do you have a degree? Where'd you go to school? Nobody asked that. And it was just a confidence was the best thing I learned, because if you can't sell yourself or your product, you shouldn't be in sales. You should go do something else. But that transcended all areas of the life. So like when you're making phone calls, if you're legitimate, and that's the key, a lot of people like to fake a lot of things, but if you're legitimate, nobody can take what's factual from you. So just believing in whatever you're doing to achieve where you want to be.
There you go. No, absolutely, man. That's a great point. Confidence is key and it's everything. And confidence is sales and sales is about confidence. If there's anything you really learn, like you talked about, because
when you have something good,
when you
Not like these snaky salesmen that try to sell you on everything, keep talking money and talk fast. Like if your person that you're selling to can't simply explain what you just said to them back to you, they're not going to make a buy.
nah, you
They
gotta
want
be
to understand it and know that it's a safe decision.
for sure,
So
bro.
yeah.
Let's talk about the new products you launched. So, last year when I spoke to you, you had
Yeah,
your main,
two, dude.
huh?
Yeah. We had two. We had
Yeah,
two flavors of a pre-workout and a fat burner.
that was it,
And the
and they were
labels were
still
old
good.
too. They were still good. Yeah.
They were
I
still
came up with those. Those were mine. Those are mine. Nobody can take those from me. And that was the old labels before we did the red font and everything like that. They were the reflective, like metallic ones.
Yeah, and so then you go from those two products, and then now you have three new ones that you added: the Dominatrix, the Noxy Pump, and the Phenom.
Yeah.
Talk about what created those products and why it was necessary to have them.
So shift and burn I created because I like them and they work. So I actually made those for me. And that was somewhat of a mistake and somewhat of a really good stepping stone. It was a mistake in the fact that I didn't see where the supplement industry was going at the time, solely because I was just getting my feet wet in it. Um, Everybody wanted a stronger pre-workout, much more energy, much more cracked out feeling. That's exactly what Phenom is. So Phenom came about because we saw a great gap in the industry to release a high stim pre-workout. We have really good relationships with our manufacturers. So I was actually in a meeting and got tipped off that our competitor that would do high stims had a shortage with the manufacturing, ran out of money. And if we could get it done ASAP, we could fill that market space, which is exactly what we did, pulled it off. So that's how Phenom came in. We did one flavor that blew up. We were like, all right, we'll do two more. So we actually have more flavors coming out and different blends, different stuff like that to make it stronger and even better. Dominate pairs perfectly with everything that was aligning with the brand in terms of we want supplements that are going to help people in a natural way, herbs, supplements, healthy things, not having to go to pharmaceutical drugs and stuff like that. So like Dominate is a testosterone booster, but it's safe for men or women because it's all herbs. So there's no positive or negative hormonal effects on it. So things like that. Noxy Pump, Noxy is a game changer, dude. And if you haven't tried Noxy, and even if Noxy wasn't mine, I would still plug it. You will not get a better pump that lasts as long as Noxy. Just
You will not. You will not.
And the secret to that is the arachidonic acid in it. It just keeps you full. Like you walk around looking like you're 15 pounds, 20 pounds bigger than you actually are.
Absolutely.
And it feels good too. And it helps with muscle recovery. Shameless plug. This stuff works.
and what you talk about too, even with you kind of being able to be an opportunist. There was a void and you had to seize it. So that's another lesson, is that if you're going to be in this whole sales industry, if you're going to be in the game, you're going to have to learn how to be a shark. And shark in the sense of when there's an opportunity there's no room for second guessing yourself or
attack it, just go full speed. Yeah.
So now, you have the company, and kind of talk about sort of the biggest lessons, the biggest takeaways. What's next for the brand? Are we coming out with a protein, or what are we trying to do?
All right. Kicker on COVID. Get this. Creatine. So creatine, whey protein of any sort. And God, we have it in shift. Today's an off day for the gym, people, so I have not had pre-workout yet. So do not judge me for being sleepy. Citrulline. All of those facilities that manufacture reputable ingredients in those are overseas. So all the big companies, the Dymatizes of the industry, the Ghosts, the ones that are in GNC, the Synthesixes, BSN, all those companies can outbid people like me. So when there's only a limited amount left because COVID shut some of the factories down and the boats are getting stopped, the industry isn't going to go to the little guy like me and say, hey, we're going to give you a really good price. They're going to go to the people buying 8 billion pounds of whey protein a year and say, hey, what can you bid for us? Right. So pretty much anybody that's releasing protein now is releasing, if they did not put their orders in before the shortages started happening, you're getting like a maltodextrin. It's a grainy carb. It's not real protein like what we think of.
Yeah.
So Q3 of next year, hopefully things are projected to start looking up, and then we could dabble in it. So definitely a protein. We are doing a full amino spectrum. Probably next month we'll put that into production. So early next year we will have, it'll be a BCAA, EAA, and hydration matrix all in one.
Nice.
So it's a perfect intra workout. Yeah. Keeps you hydrated, perfect for fasted cardio, everything you need. Or for people that like to fast, you can get those in at 0 calories. So
nah, man, that's great. And you're always looking ahead and looking forward, man, because it's all about growth and keeping the train moving, you know, never stopping.
We're redoing a different version of a high stim pre-workout. So we're going to keep Phenom, but we're going to do one with some different stimulants in it. And I've been sampling that out over the past couple of weeks, letting people try it, and that stuff works like a charm. We put 450 milligrams of caffeine in it, and there's still 11 other ingredients.
Damn.
Yeah. So, and I want to take, whether it be Eliteform or a future company in the supplement world, I want to do something for organ health, brain support, kind of, instead of enhancing the body, that like sports supplements do, nutritional supplements do, I want to do one that takes care of the body. So liver, eyes, organs, lungs, blood pressure, detoxes, stuff like that.
All that preventative side of medicine that,
Correct.
you know, I advocate for.
Right. And like you see it all the time. Like I think 6 or 7 major open bodybuilders alone died this year. I know a lot of competitors have passed away, and these guys aren't that old.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, nobody knows what the autopsy says except the coroner and the family, but people can look really good and not be healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. What you look at, you look at the exterior might, you know, present a healthy person, but what's going on inside, what's going on in your brain, your heart, your liver, your lungs, your vitals, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that we got to take care of. And I think, you know, especially a lot of people being sedentary with the pandemic, you know, it really was able to catch up with them. So now it's a matter of, okay, what are we going to do to, you know, make sure that this thing is at hand, you know?
Yeah. And the other thing about Eliteform, we got zero help. I mean, when the pandemic hit, I hadn't signed a W-9 for my own company because I was the only one. I was the owner, founder, employee, guy that packs the orders and takes them to the post office. Like, it was me. There was never anybody else. I did the product photography and posting on the page. Like I still do. Yeah. Like it was literally me. So I'm like, I'm not going to sign a W-9 for the company. So no stimmies last year, no help. We got denied every PPP. We got denied every loan. And after like the third loan we got denied, I was kind of like, let's just do this without them. Yeah. Let's figure it out. So not only did we have a record-breaking year, grow at 50% a quarter, we did it with zero help. Like we did it when the big brands are getting bailed out. We did it when like companies and restaurants and everything else are like being bailed out. Like, of course, they're not going to care about a supplement company, but to be able to have that tremendous growth and literally have the odds stacked against us, like you're going to close the gyms and then not pay us. All right. And we still had a record-breaking year every year. We grew through that. And mentally was the aspect of that I get out of it most.
Definitely. Your drive and your motivation. I mean, you know, when adversity hits, what are you going to do about it? You know, most of the people who are successful, it's a matter of, are you going to let the obstacles be your limits, or are you going to let them push you forward? Are you going to let them sort of help you break the ceiling, right? You could have easily said, man, I'm not getting no help. You know, I'm not getting the loans. I'm not getting the financial support. This is too much. And you could have essentially, you know, shut the company down and said, let me try something else. But, you know, your drive and your determination, your willpower, you know, are all things that were like, nah, you just got to keep on going and you got to just adapt and push.
I meant to circle back to that. Confidence was the best thing I learned, answering your question earlier, but also not quitting.
Sure.
Not quitting. I can't tell you how many nights I went to bed and I was like, F this, I'm not waking up and doing this tomorrow. And then what did I do? I woke up the next day. And normally it was those days we would have some crazy, stupid stuff come through. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I never would have imagined. Like, so you get tested the most right before you grow the most.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always, you know, before the calm, you got to have a storm. You feel me?
Absolutely.
All right. Now it is time for the spicy subject.
All right.
Of the show. Dating and relationships, especially in 2021.
Baby's right here.
Oh yes, 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 yes. So we're going to have an addition to the show.
Hi.
Obi, this is Jen.
How are
Jen,
you?
Obi.
Hello, Jen. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you for coming on and for giving us some of your time.
Well,
So,
this is his time. It's not mine. So really, ask your
You
questions.
support.
I'm not here.
so one thing with 2021 that I've noticed and that I've been observing is that dating relationships with this social media age and just with the modern times we're in is become sort of a point of contention between men and women. My whole thing with this podcast is just try to help, and what better way to sort of offer some aid than with two people who are in a relationship and are making it work in this time. For my question to you guys is just, how do you guys make a relationship work in this time where you're young professionals, you're trying to build your lives, you have a business owner, and I'm sure, Jen, you're busy yourself. How have you guys been able to make it work in this time?
Communication. I
Mm,
would say
Very big
communication.
one.
And it's like Jen and I don't fight. Like it's simply, that was one of the things, like if you can communicate, which isn't hard to do,
mhm,
like, and she's super busy too. She has a full-time job and she is a cheer director over
mhm,
33 girls. So
mm.
both of those are full-time jobs. So yeah, when it was cheer season and competition season and business season for me, like we were sleeping like 4 hours a night. And I think we saw each other like 3 days a week,
Mm.
but it's all communication and balance. And even if we could only see each other one night a week, it would be like, when it was our time, it was our time.
Also, the support too is very important. You
Yeah.
can have that line of communication, and still not have that support from the other partner, but support is a very, very big one. Make sure that you're on that same page.
Yeah.
Keeping that same line of communication and that support to know that you're being supported by the person that you're with, right? And they're there to help.
And it wasn't like when it was our like super busy season, we would be at events for one or the other, but that would be our time together too. And we'd be
Yeah.
happy. Like we were,
That
and we
support.
still are. Like
Yeah.
now we have more time to hang around and go do stuff and like spend a little bit more time. But even when we didn't, it was still like, you just value the time you do get. So like now I'm super grateful. Like we do have more time in the day, but it was all balance, and it's not hard to communicate if you can communicate if you're communicating with the right person.
Communication, compassion,
Yeah.
and support.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Communication, compassion, support. All three really great points. And I think, yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys that those are some of the keys. So that's all good. But then, you have, certain people out here who believe, I feel like my partner is not, reciprocating the same energy. They're not giving me the same, support. They're not giving me the same thing that I'm putting out. To those people who kind of have that mentality, what do you tell them? That my partner is not doing enough, or maybe dating's too hard.
I would say that, I mean, that's a couple different things. I would say, have your wants and needs been communicated to your partner? Because a lot of times it's the first party complaining about the second party, and the second party doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, have they been communicated?
Mhm.
Have they been like, people want people to change immediately. They're like, they do this thing and it bothers me. Okay, like it's like training a dog. Like you have to train your partner like that. Like,
way.
you know what I mean? Like,
Don't catch some heat for that one. All right, man.
yeah, I'm getting in trouble. Yeah, when the camera's off, keep the audio on. All right, I need that for court later. I'm gonna need that for the lawsuit. Yeah. And then just not gonna lie, sometimes you're with the wrong person. Sometimes you're with someone, and maybe you're the wrong person. Like a lot of people don't want to blame themselves. But my dad told my uncle this, and I kind of laugh at it because my uncle he had broken up the girl he was with, and my dad was like, "You realize you're the common denominator among all your failed relationships, right? Like you might be the problem. Every relationship didn't work out that you were in it. Like, so sometimes the other person is not right for you. I mean, and the only way to do that, date them a little bit, learn them, and if something feels off, it's off. Like trust your gut.
Absolutely.
And then maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're not mature enough. Maybe you need to learn different communication ways. Like, yeah. So that's a multi-prong answer.
Absolutely.
But short answer, it could be you. You could be messed up. You might need.
I don't even think dating is hard nowadays, though. It just goes back to that communication.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Communicating, right? But not just communicating, but comprehending what that person needs and wants,
Mhm.
and not just thinking about yourself. I think that's a very, very important one.
And
It's
you
just
have-
not thinking about yourself. You have to think of the other person. You have to love how you want to be loved.
And Like,
I love that. I like that. I like that a lot.
Jen and I believe this, but I see people fail at this all the time.
Hmm.
You get the partner, that's the beginning of the race. That's the gun going off.
Yep.
Like
Complacency.
dudes work really hard and they go rent their cars and take the girl out to dinner a couple times and they fall in love and this and that, and then the dude changes and gets fat and doesn't go to work. Like, how many times have you seen that happen?
Or just stops doing all
Right, stuff
the
like, you used to open my door. Oh yeah, like we're together now. It's
Yeah.
like, no. So like, when you get the girl, that's the gun firing, and like you better be set. You better have like trained and know what you're doing, because you have to get faster and better and continue to build the relationship from there.
to
You
earn
can't
that
just-
person.
Yeah.
No complacency.
Also, like, if you're running a race, like, you got to think of it like that. Like, if your partner's running, you and your partner are running, there's dudes dogging at your heels. Like, people want the prize. You know what I mean? Like, so, and if you want to slow up and get slow, guess who's gonna get her? Like, you got to think of it. I don't know. I think of it like a race.
Yeah. No, for sure. You can't let your foot off the gas pedal. Once the
No,
gun
you-
goes off, you gotta
Right. You got to
gotta
learn
go.
the person more, understand them more, go above and beyond what you were doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think you guys really bring up great points. I mean, for me, I've always said you have to understand what you want. You know, what do you want your lifestyle to be? What do you want your partner, like, what do you want out of your relationship with your partner, first of all? And then are you willing to communicate that to them, like you guys have both alluded to? And if something's not there, okay, is this a deal breaker for me? Or is this something where, okay, this can be, we can handle this. We can work through this together. You know what I'm saying? I think so many people would rather keep bad company or be the bad company than to say, this isn't working, at least not at this time.
Right.
And then just another thing, I don't know whether you guys agree, but I just think that, people don't understand that when you decide to be in a relationship with somebody, you're automatically kind of signing on that you're not you're not allowed to be as selfish as you once were, whether it's with your time or whether it's with your energy. Like, you're in a partnership with somebody. You're like,
Right.
you have someone else that basically you have to consider now. Right. And I think a lot of people want to be in a relationship and have a relationship outcome, but still have a single mindset.
Yeah. In terms of being selfish. And I think that's
Yeah.
because people aren't whole without their partner.
Hmm.
And I think a good partner, like you guys, people are always like, it's 50-50, and I don't believe that. I believe it's 100-100. Like, if me and like this week, I was in Dallas for 2 days and she was here and we were apart from each other and we're not sleeping in the same bed and taking the dog for a walk and making dinner together. And it's like, did I not go handle the meetings, and did she like lay in bed and not go to work because we're part? We're our own person, whether like we're busy that day or we're not. And we either get to talk during the day or we don't, and we catch up at night. It's never, I know she's never like, oh, he works too much, and I'm never like, oh, she doesn't answer her phone because she's a cheer. Like, it's like, okay, there's obviously something big going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's important. There's tiers of importance, and that's the thing. You have to be more selfish about the other person for them than you are selfish about yourself.
So absolutely, man.
And expect to be in a relationship. We just can't. If you're talking about reciprocating and you want this and you want that, you have to be able to give it back. And if not, just give it back, but do it 10 times better.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta be the type of person that you say you want. You have to also be that, like, you have to be that example, right? I can't say that I want someone who is X if I'm acting, everything opposite to that. You know what I'm saying?
You have to think, are you the person that your partner wants?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or if one person is giving 50, then you have to understand that there's going to be good and bad days.
Right. Like, there's
Yeah.
going to be days
So
like
you have to fill in for those days.
one fills the other one's cup.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. And it can't be a point system either. Like, I see people do this, or I observe this. It's like, well, I did X and you didn't do Y, therefore I'm right, or I'm better, or I'm this. Like, it's not about that. You guys are one, right? Or you're supposed to be one.
You have to remember you're a team.
Yeah, facts. Absolutely. But nah, definitely, you guys bring up great points, and hopefully people can learn from y'all, because, relationships are good and they're healthy. And if people can be in healthy relationships, I think that benefits everybody, instead of people just kind of being in their corners and saying that one side is the problem versus the other. I don't think anybody gets what they want out of that. But coming together and having these conversations, I think, is good, especially from examples.
Yeah.
All right. So just in closing out, and since I have both of y'all here, I want to hear from both of y'all, Max and Jen. We're all young professionals out here. We're all trying to make it in this world. Max has kind of given his gems as far as what he thinks are some of the keys to life. But if you guys just had to surmise, where your lives are right now, and if you had to give that last bit of wisdom to people coming up, people listening to this, what would y'all say?
That's a good one.
When I read that, when you sent me the outline a couple days ago,
Yeah.
my thing would be to just stay consistent, and I don't see enough people staying consistent. And that was the break for me. And the way I found out I can stay consistent is accountability. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I mean, if you don't want anybody else knowing, get a whiteboard and write down what you want to do on a Sunday night for the following week. Like, there's ways to keep yourself accountable, but people, at least, and this is me, this is what I find. If people don't get held accountable and have to prove something, you get lazy about it.
Absolutely.
So accountability, and then, believe it or not, like I struggle being confident 24 hours a day. There are times where I find myself remembering to kind of like poke my chest out, draw shoulders back a little bit, kind of just remember, like, it's okay to remember the successful things you've done, and hype yourself up with that sometimes. Like, a lot of people are scared to be proud of what they've done because they either feel like they're not as good as the next person, or they're going to offend the next person. And just, as long as you're authentic and positive about it, like, I don't walk around and be like, oh, my supplement company does this and you're not, like, then you're a dick. Like, then karma's going to come around. But like, it's okay for me to go into these meetings with people that I used to like look up to on Instagram, and now like I am meeting them, or like whatever, right? It's okay to say, like, these are my accomplishments. These are the trophies. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Don't talk about the little things, like the actual factual hardcore pieces of paper or trophies you can show. Like, it's okay to embrace those if you're not being cocky about it. So be confident would be mine. Consistent, confident.
For mine would be just on your weakest days to keep going. That's when you need to push the hardest.
Yeah.
You can't give up. You have to keep going.
It's easy to want to throw in the towel. And I can't tell you how many times I was just talking to my friend Zach about this like 2 hours ago. We were kind of like talking about the end of the year. I was like, dude, I can't even count how many times I told myself like I didn't want to do this anymore. I was just gonna like shut the LLC down. Like, didn't feel like it. Was tired of it. But I then realized like you have to hold yourself accountable. And I realized like I'm not the only person with this company anymore. There's lots of money involved. There's lots of people's lives involved. There's lots of business decisions and futures involved. So it was a very good lesson in growing up really quickly, and understanding that what I am currently feeling that day is not going to be where the business needs to be going. So that helped me a lot. And another just little tidbit, focus on your mental health. I made a post. You guys can scroll down. It's a heart rate, like a blood pressure monitor, a couple months ago. Like right when we started dating, second week of October. And I had a really bad panic attack. I was having night sweats. And I think a lot of people forget how like truly strong they are. And it's something like today, still to this day, I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression, I deal with these mental things. So I know you're a huge advocate of that.
Yeah, very much.
So it's okay. You can run a successful company and have anxiety. You can be broke as all get out and have anxiety and depression, and it's okay to feel those feelings anywhere. And there was quite a few days this year, like 4 or 5 days, where I refused to touch the computer or the phone. Told everybody like I'm MIA today for mental health. And go walk the dog, sleep if you need it, rest, go to the gym, like whatever you need to do.
Feed your soul what it needs to keep going. It's okay to take those.
And
rest
it's okay.
days.
I mean, I don't think I ever take a day off like the hustler hustles, but I was hustling on my mental health on the days that I took off. So for the people that are like, I don't want to take off work, like what's more important than the vessel of the body that you live in and how you feel? And you're not going to do good work if you're not mentally there.
Absolutely.
So for the people that are like, I can't take off work, or I feel like I'm not working, like you're working actually harder and for something bigger.
You need to push harder on those weaker days.
Yeah.
There you go.
Give yourself what you need.
Yeah, you got to protect the temple, above anything else. If your mental's not there, if your body's not there, if you're not present, at least in what you're doing, then it's not going to work for you anyway. So you do need to protect yourself. And if that means, kind of taking a day to reset, then do so. There's nothing wrong with being able to take some time and realizing like, okay, I just need to get away. I need to clear the head. As long as you're being productive and, you're acknowledging your issues and taking action against them. For sure. Well, that's a wrap for Inside Podcast Season 2. I want to thank you guys for coming on, man. Max, always a pleasure, bro. And
Appreciate
Jen,
it.
thank you for coming on.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Sure.
See you soon.
Bye.
We'll chill soon.
For sure. Well, that's a wrap. Season 2 premiere of Four Insight Podcast. We want to thank guest Max Wolf for coming on and giving us his time. You can catch this episode on all your listening platforms as well as YouTube and the anchor.fm platform. Much love.